Okay guys, I wanted to show you how to do some of the details in your hand. We're going to start by breaking down kind of the bone structure of your hand a little bit. So you have kind of joints right here at the bottom or the middle, maybe the middle part of your fingers. Okay, we're going to be adding some clay on there. And the other thing is we have your knuckles. We have those kind of like little bumps right there. We're going to add all of those. So we're going to start with the knuckles. Okay, so I want you to go to the kind of the middle of your finger. So I'm starting here with my pinky. And I'm going to go down about a ½ inch and I'm going to make a little dot. Same thing here. I'm going to go to the middle of this finger, go down, make a dot about an inch down. Okay, the middle of the finger, go down about a ½ inch and then go down about a ½ inch. Okay, so I'm just going to draw kind of a little line so you can see. So that's approximately where my knuckles are going to be. This one might be a little bit high, so I think I'm actually going to move that one down. When you're doing these on the back of your hand, if you can't stand your piece up, make sure that you lay it down on some towels or something so you're not messing it up. I've already rolled up some little balls, okay? They're about the size, a little bit bigger than a pencil head, okay? So you can kind of see, there's my pencil head and there's this, so just a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to score these. At this point, you should probably be scoring everything because your piece is getting a little bit dry. I'm going to add on just a little bit of slip. Just use my finger. And again, you might use your toothpick to score instead of your fork, just because then you have so much that you have to clean up. I guess I'm just lazy. I just want to be quick. So you're looking at this and you're probably going, oh my God, that's like huge, like really that big? But most of this is going to get smeared out. Okay, so I'm going to start right here at the pinky and I'm going to start smearing this out. I want to keep a bump there, but I don't necessarily want that great big round ball. So it's just going to be kind of a little bump. Okay, so just kind of like on your finger, just kind of a little bump right there. Probably no better tool than just your fingers, back of your fingernail. It's kind of a small area. You might be able to use a Q-tip if you're having a hard time getting in there, if you have kind of bigger hands. But you do want this smeared out pretty good. Okay, so that's a little messy looking. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit more. Okay, smear it into the hand just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just kind of taking a little bit of this clay and smearing it up. Because again, I want that bump, but I want it to be very subtle. You don't want to look like there's some deformity on the back of your hand. Okay, so again, just kind of smoothing it in a little bit more. So we get the impression of that bump without it looking like something weird. Okay, that looks pretty good. Probably smear it out a little bit more, but you kind of get the idea, hopefully. And it'll look even better whenever we get some of the tendons and stuff on there. Okay, all right, so moving on. Okay, so that was kind of your knuckle area right here. So now we're gonna go up to kind of this first like little joint in your finger. Okay, and that's from this area, it's about 2 inches. Okay, so we can kind of guesstimate, so 1, 2, so it's gonna be about right there. And they should be kind of lined up all the way across. Okay, so same thing, we're gonna have some little score marks here. I'm gonna add some slip. And these little balls are different, they're a little bit smaller, so they are about exactly the size of a pencil head. So a little bit smaller. You know, and it's always good to kind of look and make sure you have it in the right spot. And I'm just kind of looking at it, looks like I have it a little bit low, so I'm going to push it up just a little bit. So I'm going to rescore this a little bit. And I just made the pinky ball just a little bit smaller because it looked kind of weird having it that big. Okay, and again, I'm going to smear it almost completely out. But I can still see that little bump just a little bit. Bring it down here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can kind of still see that little bump. Oh, I got a little bit more to smooth out here. There's probably still a little bit more smoothing. Well, definitely more smoothing that I need to do, but I want to go on so that I have time to show you the rest. All right, the next thing we are going to do is fingernails. So let's see, let me get it propped up here where you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm gonna get it a little bit wet. You're gonna notice that the tips of your fingers dry out much faster than the rest. All right, the first thing we wanna do, well, first of all, you wanna look at your own nail, okay? So I'm kind of recreating this nail right here. Notice how wide it is. A lot of times people will do nails like really skinny, like right here in the middle. I don't know if you can see that, what I just drew in there. Like, see how skinny that is? Like, that's not how your nail is. Look how wide my nail is. It almost goes almost to the very edge here. So I'm gonna make it nice and wide. And you don't have to have this tool. I know not all of you have that tool. So, but I don't know what I do with my toothpick. Oh, there's my toothpick. Okay, so I'm gonna do it with a toothpick because I know some of you, that's what you have. So I'll do the same tool. So again, I'm making it kind of wide. It's kind of rounded, somewhat rounded at the top here. Not super rounded though, just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm just gonna take some of this excess clay and then I'm gonna relief inside here a little bit. And you don't necessarily need the loop tool. You could, but you don't need it. I'm just kind of using this tool here, this toothpick, just to kind of take off the edge. Just that edge. Just to make it look like it goes down a little bit. Because your nail is kind of set back into your skin. Okay, now I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna smooth it out just a little bit. See if I can get a better shot that you guys can see what I'm doing. It's always challenging to get it where you can see it and I can see it at the same time. Okay, and then you also have a line right here. So I need to put that in. And you could add clay on, like if you have really long nails and you wanted to add some clay there, you could. And then again, same thing, I'm just gonna kind of take off the edge a little bit. And then I'm just gonna go over it and just kind of smear it in a little bit. Like I still wanna see that line, I still wanna kind of see that nail, but again, I want it to be subtle. I don't want it to be this really drastic thing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll do the next one because I think you'll be able to see this one a little bit better. I'm gonna move this and see if I can get a better angle. There we go. Okay, again, so we're doing it kind of wide. Don't want it to be real skinny. Slightly arched here on the top, just a little bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna take the edge off. So I'm just kind of taking the inside edge of the fingernail off. So it looks slightly lower than the finger. So I'm going back and just kind of mellowing it out because you want it to be subtle. gonna see if I can spread these fingers apart a little bit, and I'm just gonna squish it a little bit and arch the top. Okay, so I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna do one more. So again, kind of nice and wide. Arched it just a little bit on the top. So that's kind of what it looks like at first. Now I'm going to take the inside edge. So it's kind of like I'm taking the nail down. And I'm just taking off a little of this clay on the inside, just so it looks like it sets back in there a little bit. And just some of this yucky clay that's around the edge too. You could also try getting the spoon in there, just kind of on those edges. It's almost a little bit too big though. If the hand was just a little bit smaller, it would be perfect. Okay, and then we need our little line here on the bottom. Okay. All right, so moving on. Next thing is all of these like little wrinkles. You want to have some of that stuff. You don't necessarily have to have it all, but you definitely want some. You're getting points for that. I like using the toothpick the best. Okay, so kind of looking at your hands, you have some definite areas where you can see the wrinkles. Where your hand is jointed. So remember, your finger is actually broken up into 3 different bones. So we've got a bone right here, a bone here in the middle, and then another bone down here. So where those joints are, that's where you tend to get those kind of wrinkles. Okay, so right in here. So I'm just gonna kind of draw where they start. Okay, so that's kind of where they are. And then I'm just gonna use this to kind of work my way around. I'd like to go all the way around, but since I have my fingers pretty close, I don't know if I can. Same thing here. Okay, so now you have these like weird looking circles. Now you can go in here with your loop tool and you're just gonna kind of mellow it out a little bit. So I'm just kind of taking a little bit of it off on both sides. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside of the hand. Just digging in a little bit where that line is. And I will hold it up so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so now it looks like that. Still kind of funky, right? Okay, so now here's where the paintbrush comes in. So now you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to press real hard and you're just going to kind of mellow that out a little bit. It's almost like I'm just kind of pushing the edges down. Use my finger a little bit too. I'm also going to do it on the inside. Okay, so now we kind of have the dent. Now we can just kind of go back and add a little bit of lines. And I use that toothpick all the time. So now I'm just going to need to look at my fingers and kind of see where some of those wrinkles are. And then after I put them in, I always like to go back and again, just kind of mellow them out a little bit. We have them down here on our, kind of our knuckles too. And even some kind of in between the fingers. And I even have some, it's kind of like that. Okay. So now that I have them in, I'm going to use my paintbrush again, and I'm going to mellow it all out. Get this extra clay off. So I'm not completely smoothing it out. You can still see those wrinkles. They're just a little bit finer. And look at my side. Continue some right here. And same thing, I'm just gonna kind of mellow them out a little bit. So again, you can see those wrinkles, but I just kind of mellowed them out a little bit. And there's some little spots that I need to smooth and stuff like that, but still not bad. I'm gonna put these back in just a little bit more. It's like, it's kind of this fine balance between it not being too harsh and not so light that you can't see it. It's kind of in between, which is not easy to do. All right, last thing, and I'll demo this in class too, but I just kind of want to wrap it up by talking about the tendons. Okay, so that's these lines right here. Okay, they're not actually a bone, they're a tendon. And we are going to make a little teeny tiny coil. And we're gonna kind of put where these are. So they actually kind of hit your knuckle, and they even go past it a little bit. So it almost kind of goes through your knuckle. So you can see it kind of goes, like your knuckle's right there, and it goes all the way up here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to almost completely kind of smear these in, kind of the same thing as the knuckles. You just want to barely be able to see this. Here's where a tool might come in handy, just to kind of get it started. Or maybe you want to do one at a time, so it's a little easier to get in there. So maybe I'll take this one out, just kind of put it right here. That way I can get in there really well. They're pretty straight too, so like I'm just kind of noticing that one's a little curvy. I really don't want it like that. All right, now I can put this one back in there. Okay, and these blend to almost nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna get my fingers wet and I'm gonna blend this in because it goes way back inside of your hand. So it kind of vanishes in there. And again, it's just kind of real subtle underneath the skin. Kind of like that. Okay, there's lots more. We can do wrinkles in the wrist and all kinds of stuff, but hopefully this kind of gets you started, and I'll demo some more of this stuff in class, okay? So kind of what it looks like on the back, and we've got our knuckles, and we've started our fingernails. All right, good luck, guys.